Welcome to the Upshot, Multi-World Disc Golf podcast about the latest in the disc golf world. He is Josh Mansfield. I am Charlie Eisenhood, and it is Thursday, June 22nd. We are on the verge of the start of the Des Moines Challenge, the second of three back-to-back Elite Series events on the Disc Golf Pro Tour. Of course, we'll be in Iowa for this one, and should be a good one at Pickard Park. Of course, we're going to make our picks. We're going to talk to the TD Ty Tannatt in a little bit. And we're also going to have an interview a little bit later with the man of the week for sure, Parker Welck, the winner at DDO. So looking forward to that. Josh, before we jump into all that, I thought we should have a little chat about the President's Cup coming up in Europe.
We've got it. This is a great event, and I am as excited as always, and I am unabashedly, and have been for the past 4 years, Team Europe, because Team Europe has yet to win this event, and I want them to win it very badly. So,
well, we have our teams for the President's Cup. For those who are not aware, this is a Europe versus USA little one-day kind of casual event that happens the day before the start of the European Open. This year it will be Wednesday, July 19th. And so they play two 9-hole rounds. And there's like a whole scoring mechanism based on how you do in kind of like a head-to-head. They do best shot, and then they do match play. And so then you gather points. We won't get into the specifics right now. It doesn't really matter that much. Here are your current teams, okay? I'll give you Team Europe first, Josh, since you're rooting for them.
Okay.
KJ Nybo is your captain. The other MPO representatives, Nicholas Antila, Linus Carlson, Vino Makala, and Lauri Lettinen. There will also be two more MPO players chosen, one by a fan vote and one selected by Captain KJ Nybo. On the FPO side, Kristen Tatar and Henna Blomroos are the representatives. And then you have Evelina Salonen and Una Heinonen in the reserve seats. Now, I believe either of those players could end up getting called up to the main team, either by the fan vote or the captain selection. Now, wait, actually, no. Una could. Because it's only MPO players who are in the fan vote and the captain selection, which makes no sense at all, by the way. Europe, get a clue when it comes to FPO, please. How many times do we have to watch players shooting 18 over to win a tournament before you start making their own layout? Like, it's time to get with the program. How is there not a fan vote for an FPO player, Josh?
I don't know. It would make so much sense, even if you just said like fan vote for MPO and then captains got to choose an FPO player.
I mean, it's just, I understand that like the FPO depth is not the same, but it's a lot different than it was 5 years ago.
Sure.
And for there to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 MPO players represented and 2 FPO.
Especially like we literally talk about the European big three in FPO.
I know.
Right. And this is the course at the Beast where it doesn't matter about, like, it doesn't matter they can't putt.
Evelina is a very legitimate threat to win the European Open.
So's Henna.
Oh yeah.
They both are. Like this, the odds at this tournament between Kristen and her European counterparts are closer than they will be the rest of the year.
I agree with that.
And so it just like blows my mind that you don't have at least 3
That's
FPO
so
spots.
Stupid. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go for Team USA. Nate Sexton is your captain. And your other MPO players, Gannon Burr, Paul Macbeth, Eagle McMahon, Ricky Wysocki. Then, of course, a fan vote and the captain's selection. Katrina Allen and Missy Gannon are your FPO representatives, with Paige Pierce and Calvin Heimberg on the bench in reserves.
Can you explain to me how that worked? Because why is Calvin not a lock?
Good question, Josh. It is a grand conspiracy, actually. No. 4 men and 2 women qualify for each team based on the 2022 year-end UDisc World Rankings. So Calvin was not in the top 4 at the end of 2022. You could quibble with this as you like.
That's fine.
Then there are, of course, the fan vote, which I have to think Calvin would be the front runner for. And if he does not get in through that, you got to think that Nate Sexton is going to say, we're calling him up to the big leagues. But that's how it works. The reserves are also based on the world rankings. So it's kind of more backward looking and doesn't take into account current season. But I feel like there's mechanisms to bring those people in, right?
Well, there's mechanisms to bring people in, and it's a legitimate decision-making process. It wasn't just somebody sat down and was like, yep, these are players we're going to invite. Like,
right. No,
they have a metric, and you can quibble with the metric, but you can always quibble with the metric, right? And I think there would be people, if you had said, let's just take Pro Tour standings real quick. And if that was their evaluation, Calvin, Gannon, Isaac, James Proctor are your 4 locks. Or do we need 5? 1, 2, 4. Those are your 4 locks for MPO. I think people would ask, like, no disrespect, James Proctor, he's earned it this season. But when you look at this lineup on Team USA and then stick Calvin in there, I mean, those are the highest profile names in the sport.
Well, you're looking at the Pro Tour standings, right? So
yes, yeah.
You need to look at the world rankings.
Right. Well, I'm saying my point is that
I get your point.
No matter the metric,
yeah,
there will be reasons to quibble with.
Yeah, of course. If you use the current snapshot today, it would be Calvin, Ricky, Eagle, Gannon. Simon is technically 4th, but he would represent Europeans. He's also not going to the European Open.
Oh, that's right. So
Calvin, Ricky, Eagle, Gannon. Paul is in 6th, 1 behind Gannon. And then on the FPO side, it would be Page and Haley for FPO.
I
don't really understand how Page is still at number 2, to be honest with you. I mean, well, I guess I do. She's won a couple tournaments, but
I would say she should be ahead of Katrina this year.
For sure.
Right?
For sure. So, I think it's interesting, Josh, if you just look at the teams as they are now, and let's assume that Calvin's going to end up joining the team.
Okay.
I mean, as usual, the U.S. team looks like it has the edge. But I feel like I say it every year, but I feel like it's especially true this year. The Europeans look closer than ever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think they straight up have the edge in FPO.
I agree with that. Yes.
Like, even having Kristen alone probably gives them the edge, but I just, Katrina and Missy versus Kristen and Henna, that's not, I don't think that's a fair fight right now.
I know. Especially on the course that they're going to be playing. Like, Kristen has shown that straight up she's better than Katrina right now, without a doubt. And then, given the course, now if we were playing Pickard Park,
of course.
Missy, you probably give Missy the edge.
And
but
no disrespect to Missy. Missy could absolutely outplay Henna 100%.
She can. But like we just said, on the Beast, this is going to be Henna's best chance at winning a tournament this year.
It's probably true. Here or throw pink.
Right, here or throw pink. And so
but then, on MPO side, it's like, okay, well, you can have some question marks about like, where's Paul's consistency at? Eagle is not playing right now. Could he be banged up? Still, I think you take Gannon, Paul, Eagle, Ricky over Lowry, Vino, Linus, Nicholas. I mean, you have to.
Right. I really think that side, given the way that some of those players have played, I really think, here's my thoughts. On those 4, you really could see a 2-2 split. The problem is, I think you have now, like, Jakub Semerad maybe is your captain's choice, and Albert Tom as your fan's choice. Like, I'm trying to think of which other 2 Europeans are going to be getting in for Team Europe. And unfortunately, I just think when you then take Calvin and, I don't know, Isaac Robinson, or that matchup becomes very difficult very quickly. Because those four, I feel, are a little bit a step above and are really representative of the best of Europe. And then the next two, I mean, like I said, Jakub Semerad and Albert Tom would make two pretty solid picks, but I don't feel like they're on the same level that they are going to need to be. And then I think it gets looking pretty rough for MPO in Europe, unfortunately.
So the fan vote players, it's not a vote from everybody. And by the way, today, when this podcast is released, is the last day you can vote in the fan vote competition. So if you want to put your thumb on the scale, head over to the European Open Disc Golf Facebook page, where you can find the link to the Google form where you can vote. The players in the mix: Calvin Heimberg, Matt Oram, Chris Dickerson, Kyle Klein, and Anthony Barella for Team USA. And for Team Europe, Una Heinonen, Jakub Semerad, Mauri Vilman, Jesse Niemanen, Mikkel Heim, and Albert Tom. So one player from each of those teams will get voted in by the fans. Who would you take, Josh?
Jakub Semerad and Albert Tom on the...
Well, you only get to vote for one, I think.
Oh, that's right, because the other's captain's choice. I'd vote for Jakub.
And then you think Tom gets in? What about Vilman? He's been on fire in Europe. I feel like he's been playing better comparatively to Albert. But the course...
I would say
a Tom-ish course.
You tell me you don't want the bazooka, the beast.
I mean, this is where he like popped off the first time. Who do you take for USA? Obviously, Calvin from just a competitive standpoint. But is that
but let's pretend
you want?
Let's pretend Calvin goes captain's choice.
Okay, fine.
So you pull Calvin out of the fans' vote. Give me the MPU again.
Matty O, Chris Dickerson, Kyle Klein, and AB. I'd
pick AB. I think Kyle Klein is the better pick, but I think AB would be a fun one to watch. If I had to pick, if you just said pick a player at an exhibition event that's just for fun, really, and is not a straight up stroke style tournament, AB is probably one of my top picks most times.
I respect that.
Yeah,
I respect that. Well, it's gonna be fun. It'll be coming your way the day before the European Open, so we'll get the full lineups and break it down more when we get closer to the tournament. All right, we are going to take a pause. When we come back, we will be joined by Parker Welck, the winner of the Dynamic Discs Open. Stay with us.
At Pound, the quality of our gear runs deeper than the stitching. That's why we make everything right here in the US, employing highly skilled, well-paid professionals. From bomb-proof Cordura fabric to YKK zippers and recycled plastics, we source the highest quality US materials to make the most comfortable, durable pack in disc golf. Our lifetime warranty stays with the pack, not the purchaser. So regardless of how you find us, we will be here to make sure your pack stays on the course and out of the landfill. Pound's integrity is held together with more than just thread.
Joining us now on the Upshot is your 2023 DDO champion, Parker Welck. Parker, congratulations. Welcome to the program.
Thanks, guys. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us. I can only imagine what a past 72 hours has been like for you. With the crazy amounts of attention and all of the media obligations that you've had, what's it been like?
It's been pretty wild. It seemed like seemingly instantly after I raised that trophy, I was just gaining a ton of followers, a ton of messages. My phone was just blowing up like crazy, and I had to take a little break. There's no way I could respond to all of those messages right then and there. So I've been kind of doing it. Mostly yesterday, I got through Instagram. But then my Facebook is just completely blown up. I'm going to probably do that today. But it's been really, really cool. Just experiencing this moment with all my friends and them being there for me it's bittersweet.
I feel like there aren't words to properly qualify just how exciting of a win this was. You are the lowest rated player since 2004 to win an Elite Series event. You come in as the lowest rated Statmando power ranking player to win a Pro Tour event. When you went into this event this weekend, do you think to yourself every week, like, I have what it takes to win it? Or is your thought, I hope I get enough cash to cover the trip? What is your thought going into this? And at what point did you really think, I can take this tournament down?
Yeah, so going into every tournament, I'm kind of feeling like if I don't cash, then that means I played bad. And that's kind of what it's been like. I feel like I've cashed almost every week. There's only one time where I didn't cash 2 weeks in a row, I'm pretty sure, this year. But that's kind of what I'm going for. I kind of want to cash. I want to get my points. I want to move up the leaderboard so I could get my tour card for next year. And for this tournament, I actually tried something different. It was pretty hilarious. There's a streamer. I don't know if you guys know who it is or play video games. His name is Dr. Disrespect, and he's a very, very high energy streamer. And I went on to one of the motivational intros that he had, and I started blasting that while I was staring in the mirror, like flexing and shadow boxing. And this is a totally true story. And I don't know what it was, but it worked. I was so fired up. I was pumped up. I wasn't thinking I was going to win after doing that, but I put myself into the position after round one. I was 10 under. So I did it again the second day. And then I shot a 9 under. Are you kidding me? And so I did it again. And then I won. Are you kidding me? So I don't know. I might have to do that again this week.
You're going to have to become a boxer to do that much shadow boxing. That's wild. And how did you feel going into the final round? Because, you're up there on the lead card, you're going up against the world number one. There's obviously no expectations for you really, but you must have your own internal thoughts about your chances to win. What's going through your mind? Yeah,
I could not sleep. There was no sleep for me that going into that final day. And it was crazy trying to actually internalize those emotions. It was so hard for me. I was so nervous. I was so scared, and I was also so excited to get that chance. Even just to be on Jomez, I think is wild. If you look back at Aaron Gossage, it was kind of the same story at OTB where, he didn't win, but he got on Jomez, and then it seemed like his life changed. So that's kind of what I was going for. I just wanted to be on Jomez, but it worked out for the better.
So you take home $8,500 as your winnings. What is your financial, life like on tour? You more than double your earnings for the year. I am assuming that makes a huge difference. But are you sustainable just on winnings and your sponsorship? Is there additional sources of income that you have? How does that exactly function, and how much did this $8,500 mean for your tour life?
Yeah, so money's always nice, but it's not really needed for being on tour for what we have. I'm in a truck and trailer that I'm pulling with my friend Jake Brown, and we're doing the tour together, and we're kind of just pulling it to random places and dropping it, sleeping there, hopefully for free, and we're going grocery shopping. We're doing everything for as cheap as possible, and it's been working real well. But this $8,500, it definitely helps. I bought dinner for the last 2 nights for us, and it's nice having that extra.
When you kind of think about how you've set all these historical records, do you find that a cool part of this thing, or do you feel like, hey, I already belong in this at a higher level? I shouldn't be as low rated as I am. What how do you put it in perspective for yourself?
Yeah, I think my rating is probably fair. I have not really been playing the best these past few events, and but I know that I'm capable of shooting hot rounds. I've proven myself before at OTB. I shot hot round until Emerson Keith shot the 12 to beat me by 1. So I was in it, and I know that I could do it. I have all the game to do it. It's just I think the consistency wasn't really there, and I'm hoping that's something that kind of I can slingshot myself to improve upon.
Can you just give us a little background on, how you got involved in disc golf, kind of what your origin story is? Because I think a lot of people are probably learning about you for the first time.
Yeah. So Parker is actually a disc golf name. My dad has been a disc golfer for a very, very long time. And my parents' second date ever was on a disc golf course. So my whole family's just disc golfers. My brother plays, he's fantastic. My mom plays, she's very good. And my dad actually qualified for USGGC in so many years ago. So we're all players. And it's cool coming from Hawaii because there aren't really any players. You don't hear of anyone coming from Hawaii to play on the Disc Golf Pro Tour. And I think that is such a cool stat because I have the entire state behind me. Because once they find out that, we have someone that's out doing things, boom, instant fan. It's really cool. It is.
So are you how long, because your PDGA and Statmando profiles say Huntington Beach. So were you born in Hawaii? How long did you live in Hawaii? And how long have you been in California?
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Hawaii my entire life up until I was 19 years old. And I moved out to California with my dad because he had like a business going on and he was flying back from Hawaii to California. It seemed like every other week, and he wasn't doing that anymore. So I went out with him one of the times, and I started going to college. And so what was that, 7 years that I've been in California? But it wasn't up until I got married with my wife, Allie, last October, and we moved into a place in Huntington Beach. So that's where I live now. Huntington Beach Disc Golf Course is my home course. So I'm claiming I can claim either Huntington Beach or Hawaii.
So, all right, let's go into some of the specifics of this round. You're playing awesome through the first 10 holes. You got 8 birdies through the first 10. You're keeping it going. You're facing down against Calvin, and then you go on a little bit of a cold streak. You par on 11 and 12. You take the bogey on 13, so that's 2 shots to go Calvin's way there, and then we get to 14. So I guess I'd love to hear about that sequence to start the front 9, leading up to 14. What's going through your mind at that point?
So that front 9, I'm gonna say the front 8 because hole 9 has just given me that hole is such a pain in my butt. I think I was like 2 over on that hole for the weekend. But to get those, 7 through 8 is just fantastic there. You have to throw every shot seemingly perfect to avoid the out of bounds, to get yourself in position to actually make a putt. And it was really cool knowing, like, dude, I'm right in this. I'm playing my mind it's crazy. Everything's working, and then playing hole 9, I knew it was coming, and it's hilarious. I kind of was aiming for the bushes. It may seem pretty weird, but I was not going OB left. There was no way I was going to throw that disc OB left, and I threw my overstable disc on like a hyzer. If it was kind of on the edge, that's even better. But I know in those trees you can pitch out and probably get your par, 9 out of 10 times. So I was kind of going with that, and I was happy with it. And then next hole, birdie, and then 11. That tee pad, I slipped like crazy on hole 1, but I got the birdie. And then round 2, slipped like crazy, threw it super high in the sky. And round 3, I was so worried. That's the only thing I was thinking about was that tee pad. Ended up teeing off a little bit further behind, like the front of it, maybe like 4 feet, like pretty much in the middle of the tee pad. And just shanked it right. All I was thinking about was the tee pad, and ended up getting up and down for the par, which is okay. And next hole, threw it right. I thought I made the putt, but the world had different plans. I think I missed maybe an inch high, dead center. But that's all right. Pars are always good, especially because I had that good start. I knew it was okay to have that par. But then that next hole 13 or 12, wait, 13. Threw it straight out of bounds. I could not believe it. I thought it was over. I went over to my mom, and I said, I just lost. But it was weird because I still had a smile on my face saying I just lost a pro tour event. That was pretty funny. But man, that very next hole, it was life-changing during that hole. I mean, watching Calvin hit that very first tree and kicking out of bounds it was weird. I did not know how to feel about that because Calvin he was such a nice dude the entire time. And, I thought he was going to win. Everyone thought he was going to win. He had like a 50% chance to win before the round even started or something. And he hit the tree, went out of bounds. I was blown away. I knew I could get 2 on him right there. And so I did it. Went for the eagle, made the putt, ended up getting 3 on him, which is wild. I think I big putt him or he was nervous, but I know that he probably wasn't prepared for me. He was prepared to battle with Matty O. He was prepared to battle with Alden Harris. He did not think that I would have a chance. And I think that kind of like threw him off a little bit when I made that eagle, and he's like, dude, why is this kid winning right now? Why is he so good all of a sudden? But yeah, it was cool in that moment, that little stretch, seemingly losing and then instantly in the lead 1 hole later. It's crazy what 1 hole can do for you out there.
Yeah, but then you had to hold the lead, with Calvin gets 3 of the next 4. Obviously you did the same. How, what did you feel the nerves amplify on those final few holes once you were in the lead and had to protect?
So once I hit that eagle putt, it was crazy how different I felt. I can't even put into words how I felt, but you're not beating me when I'm in that position. I just put it into 6th gear. It was crazy. I felt like just a winner, feeling like Paul Macbeth out there. You're not going to beat me. It's the very next hole I threw that hyzer perfect, turned around. I was so confident, and I parked it underneath the basket. And then Calvin made that huge putt. Good on him. It was dead center and it looked strong. And then we got to hole 16. I threw the same shot that I was throwing all weekend, that high floaty Anheuser stall shot. And it worked for me all week. I did it 4 times in a row, and you can't argue with results. So continued to do it. Worked. Calvin put it on the island too. I thought he aced hole 16 from the tee pad. Look, from the Jomez angle is it doesn't really show it, but the thing was right on line to go in the basket for the ace. That would have been so crazy.
That would have been crazy.
What a competitor, man. I think that's what he was trying to do. Maybe he was trying to birdie. I'm not sure, but what a competitor. And then 17, man. He threw it right in the ground. That's his hole. He is so good at those low ceiling shots, and to see him make that sort of mistake, it took a little bit more pressure off me as well. But at that time, I really wasn't feeling too much pressure. It was more of like a just do what you got to do, man, and you win. It was kind of a weird feeling, but to see him make that mistake on 17, kind of just, that sealed the deal. It really sealed the deal on 17 when I birdied and he parred. Getting 2 strokes into 18, there's nothing you can really do to come back from that.
One of the things that we talked about and the tools in your arsenal that I think really stood out this weekend is your forehand. How far can you throw a golf forehand, right? Like not just completely opening it up, but like you step up to a hole, you need a forehand hyzer. How far can you throw?
I want to say flat ground. If I have to throw like a hyzer shot, it's probably going like 470. If it flips up a little bit, I can get it to 5. If I do a flex, I can get over 5. Yeah.
where, when you look at other players on tour, do you have the best forehand on tour? Power forehand?
No. There's a couple guys that I think we're all in our own league.
Okay.
With power sidearms, I don't think that one of us have the best because there's so much that goes into it. There's power, there's control, there's accuracy, there's angle. There's a lot that goes into it. But there's a few guys: Albert Tom, Anthony Barella, even Jake Wolf, crazy power sidearm player. And Evan Scott, he really surprised me with his sidearm. Those are just the guys that I've played with that I know have just crazy power sidearms. And I'm sure there's others, but those guys just come to my mind.
Do you have a sports background at all? Like, did you play baseball or anything to work on developing that sidearm power?
I think the sidearm power came from just doing it my entire life. That's all I threw growing up was sidearm. Since I was like 4 years old, just hucking mini sidearms and just keep doing it. You know, got it to 50 feet one time. Wow. Oh, 100 feet now. I'm 10 years old. I can get it to 200 feet. That sort of thing. And it just kept going and going and going. But yeah, I did do a lot of sports growing up. Sorry, I'll keep going. Baseball.
No. I cut y'all could finish your, yeah.
And a lot of non-team sports, mostly. It was kind of just surfing and skating for me growing up. Because that's what we had. We had a really nice skate park, brand new one right there where I was from in Lahaina, Hawaii. And, you know, we had the surf breaks, of course, you know, some of the best in the world, where a lot of my friends would go out, we'd surf, hang out. But it was mostly just fun growing up. Not really like sporty stuff, just like fun.
Amazing. Well, so how do you replicate this? Obviously some doctor disrespect, but what else can help you get back to the top of the podium later this year on the Pro Tour? Yeah,
man, it's definitely going to be difficult to do that, to repeat that. And I think I had such an edge during that one specifically because I have played there before. I have not played any of the next courses that we're going to play in ever. Playing them all not blind, you know, I'm going to practice, but it's my first time being there, and it's going to take a lot for me to replicate this year, but maybe next year. I think I'll have a lot better chance of winning.
Yeah. By the way, I was kind of curious about this. Obviously you just earned your tour card by winning for next year. How have you had to deal with registration this year? Has it been fairly straightforward because you're over 1,000 rated to get into events, or are there some that you miss out on? I'm not totally clear on like how that works for someone who doesn't have a tour card.
Yeah, so I actually have a silver tour card, which is, it gets you onto all the silver events and you get to choose 4 Elite Series events. So I chose 4 of probably the hardest ones for me to get into, because the rest I'd have to do tier-based registration based on my rating. So I chose the 4 hard ones, and I got into the rest. So I'm doing pretty much all of them, except for I'm not going to Europe, I'm not going to New York, and I'm not going to Canada. But everything else I'll be doing.
Do you start to think at all about the possibility of getting into the Tour Championship? Now you're only 10 spots back right now and about 60 points.
Yeah, I think I qualified for the Tour Championships already just by winning that tournament.
Of course you did. Of course you did. Yes. Duh. A change for this year. That's awesome. How much is that a motivating factor as you look ahead to the end of the season?
I mean, it's wild. I think that's where the money is. That opportunity is going to be crazy for me, and I can't wait to have another underdog story like that. You know, Nathan Queen also kind of doing the same deal. That would be really, really cool to win that.
All right, Parker. Well, we really appreciate you giving us some time. Give us a quick breakdown on your thoughts on Pickard Park and the Des Moines Challenge.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I liked it out there. I played one round. I played it blind on the Jomez practice round. I did not shoot too well, but we had so much fun, and I'm going to be playing it completely different than how I played it on the Jomez practice round. I know the fairways now. I know where to land. I know the bad spots. I'm hoping it's going to be a good weekend here.
Awesome. Well, Congratulations once again, and looking forward to seeing you out there this weekend.
Awesome. Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
Parker Welck with us here on The Upshot. We'll be right back. Welcome back to The Upshot. Wow. Parker Welck. What a story, Josh.
What a story. I mean, it really is one of the most exciting stories, and very an exciting fashion as well that we've had come out of the season. And I hope we get to see more of him. I think people like him, that it really reminds me of Silas Schultz in a lot of ways, right? Like, kind of has a little bit of that swagger, and it's a very exciting player to watch in their style of game. What's impressive to me, and perhaps most remarkable though, the fact that he developed that forehand from just playing disc golf. That's benefit of a lifer, right?
100%. And how about that? His name is a disc golf name.
Yeah.
Parker. Love it. That's awesome. Yeah, it's so cool. What a story. Hawaii to Huntington Beach, catch a little bit of the Macbeth energy, go out on tour, believe in yourself. He's only making, he talked about mostly cashing. I mean, that's true, but like he's making like $700, $278, $375. Now he won $1,000 at Waco. But like, it's not like he's rolling in the dough, and I can't imagine that his sponsor is giving him much money over from Prodigy. I mean, it's not a proven quantity at all.
Right.
But making ends meet, traveling with his buddy. I mean, this is what it takes at this point. If you want to go be on tour, you just have to take the chance. You have to go out there, and you have to be able to make it work, making a couple $100 a week.
Yeah.
And, now with the paycheck that he just got, the kind of bump that he's going to get from his sponsor, and to be able to play in the Tour Championship. I mean, wow, that's
USDGC
awesome.
Qualified now.
This, by the way, this is the perfect exact reason why the new model for this year, where if you win a tournament, you get into the Tour Championship, is huge. Like, he shouldn't have to grind it out to get to the top 32.
Yeah.
If he finishes 60th, so what? Like, the guy won a tournament, he should be in, and I think that's awesome.
Yep, I agree. I misspoke. He actually qualified for USDGC at the challenge at Goat Hill. So he was already qualified for USDGC. But
okay. Where did he finish at Goat Hill?
I'm not positive. Third. Okay.
Third. How about that? Okay.
People ahead of him must have been pre-qualified.
Yeah, like, he's had some results that speak, and he said this, right?
Yeah.
I can pop off a super hot round. And that has been the case. And that is a way to success, right? Mm-hmm. If you can always shoot 10-20, you're going to be a really good player, and you're never going to do much but cash. But if you can shoot 10-60 sometimes, even if you shoot 9-90 other times, that's how you win on tour. And he's got that step up level that can get you a win. So wow, we'll see. Josh, over under future wins for Parker Welck's career on the Elite Series or the majors, 0.5.
I mean, statistically, I'm going to take the under. It's getting harder. He's 26. That's ish. He said he moved to Huntington Beach 7 years ago.
He's right in his prime.
19. Right. That is in his prime. But we've got guys who are winning when they're 17.
That's true.
Right? Like, we've got guys winning right now who are not yet in their prime, who will be in their prime when he's in his 30s. So,
worth noting, as he said, like, this is the one course that I've played before, and he won on it.
Maybe next year.
I mean, I just think, like, maybe we'll see him take that step forward. I don't know.
Right.
Taking the under is the logical choice, I have to admit. All right, we're going to talk now with Ty Tannatt, who is the TD of the Des Moines Challenge. Always great to have him on. So we'll talk to Ty, and then after that, we'll make our picks. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to The Upshot. Joining us now on The Upshot is the TD of the Des Moines Challenge, Ty Tannatt. Ty, it's great to have you back on the show. How are you?
I'm great, guys. Thanks for having me again. Appreciate the time.
Well, it's we are in the middle of a big stretch here on the Disc Golf Pro Tour, back to back to back. Des Moines sandwiched in the middle of DDO and Preserve. So, how are you feeling? We're recording this Wednesday, so we're 2 days away from the start of the tournament. How's everything looking?
Everything's looking amazing. So the course looks amazing. Got a lot of great comments from the players, but we did some changes to the visuals, the aspects of the course. So by adding some more tall grass, and we're using rope this year instead of out of bounds, or excuse me, instead of paint to mark the out of bounds for the most part. But our staff, our volunteers have just been absolutely amazing. They take care of the course on their own time. They're not paid in any way except for like my love and admiration and appreciation, and maybe some lunches and some beers here and there after some long days. But I can't say enough about the local community, not only in Indianola, but then the exterior community of Des Moines and even a lot of Iowa that comes out to help make this course what it is. I know to a lot of people that are watching, it looks just like another disc golf course, and it is, but the majority of the courses here in the Des Moines area specifically are maintained and taken care of by volunteers. They spend hundreds and hundreds of hours doing anything from building new tee pads, building bridges, to weed eating, to pulling weeds, to basically anything I ask them, shoveling rock, dirt, clay, whatever it is. So we're doing great. We're having a great time. It's been really hot, but we're having a blast, and we're very thankful that we're on the Disc Golf Pro Tour. And I just want to give those guys a big shout out. They deserve it.
While we're on the subject of the course, why don't you tell us, are there any changes that we're going to see? You talked a little bit about visual aspects. What about in terms of the layout, the way that it plays, anything that we need to kind of watch for as we get ready for this tournament?
Yeah, so you'll probably hear a couple people, well, not a couple people, but you'll probably hear players when they first take a look at the course say, oh, it doesn't look like there's a lot of changes. Well, yes, there's not a lot of large changes to the course. So I'll go through a couple of holes. So hole 3 last year, kind of got some negative reviews. We probably left too many trees in there. We wanted to see how it played out. I actually watched Brody's clip last night, and he said we took out 11 trees in the middle of hole 3. So I hadn't even counted exactly how many it was. So glad he did that for me. So that hole is much more fair. The gap is still the same, still tight. It still looks the exact same when you're on the tee pad. But when you hit that gap, you now know you have probably a 90% chance of getting through and getting to the basket and having a look at 2. So great change there, in my opinion. We also added a new FPO tee pad to hole 2, and we changed out 3 of the turf tee pads for MPO and made them concrete. And then one of those changes is hole 10 as well. We added a new concrete tee pad there. So small shift. It just shifts the tee pad back into the left about 30 feet, but it changes the shot and makes that hole harder. We also tightened the out of bounds on that hole as well to make that hole harder. That was the easiest hole MPO wise last year. But then FPO wise, we shortened the basket. We brought it on the east side of the creek because that was the second hardest hole for FPO last year. So I wanted to make that a little more fair for them and a little more fun and more rewarding for them as well. So from there, we had our next big change is hole 17. We have a new tee pad. We extended the hole about 70 feet. You'll probably see a bunch of pictures of it. It's definitely the best hole I've ever made and ever been a part of. It has an amazing tee pad area, tons of landscaping, and I'm sure you'll see some pictures and some videos of it throughout the week. It was a lot of hard work, a lot of dedication again by those volunteers. And it looks gorgeous. So not a ton of changes. We also changed a couple FPO baskets to give them a couple more fair holes, like hole 15. We shortened the basket for them. So I think there's a lot of great changes this year. You're not going to see an entire new hole where we cut out, through a set of woods and all that. But I think the changes are small, subtle to the outsider, difficult, a lot of hours on my end and our team's end. But I think everybody's going to enjoy them a lot.
I mean, this is the kind of the future for courses, right? Like once you get a course to a point where it's good and it's challenging, it's not going to be wholesale monster changes to holes, right? It's going to be like, okay, this hole's a little too hard, this hole's a little too easy, we need to move this slightly here and there to kind of tune the course to the way that it's playing, now versus 3 years ago. So, I guess the question is, could you even make big giant changes to this course if you wanted to? Because I know it's in a public park.
Yeah. So first off, Doug Violin, the parks director, amazing guy, basically gives us the keys to the property. As long as we go through him first and say, hey, these are the proposed changes we want to do. And as long as he's cool with that, then we proceed forward. But yeah, I think we have maybe one more big change, and that's current hole 16. It's probably going to be washed away in the next year or two, the green area. So I think we're going to have to get rid of that hole. And we have a couple options there. One of them being a little more work, it would be to make a fully wooded hole, which would become new hole 17. So hole 16 would, hole 17 would become hole 16. And then we would cut out a new hole, probably a par 4 through the woods, right there along the right side of hole 17. And then we would probably adjust 18 by making it into a par 4. So this year, last year our event was in August, so we didn't have a lot of time after the event to get changes done. And then, winter in Des Moines and Iowa, it's 6 months long. So I think we have some potential to make probably 1 or 2 new holes next year. And then, yes, please, I would love for the course to be what it is for a year or two, to just, give myself some relief, those guys some relief, and let's just have some fun. I want it to be as rewarding for them, and I want them to enjoy it as much as the players and the fans as well. So that's the big takeaway for me.
Well, so one of the things that we've come to know about your tournament is that you tend to have a very large payout. But I think like a year or two in a row, you've set the record for highest payout for a three round tournament. Where are things looking this year? We've seen purses trending up across the board, pretty much every single tournament. Is that going to happen here at DMC?
Yeah. I think we're shooting for 105,000, maybe a little more in that range. That's our goal for this year. And one of the big initiatives this year, I'm not sure if you guys are aware of this or not, but TrueBank, our title sponsor, they wanted to come on board again, and they wanted to add a little bit more to the purse this year. But their main ask, I guess, their main initiative on our end was that first place MPO, first place FPO get equal pay. So this year you'll see that the winner of MPO and FPO will get paid the same. The scale will not change for the FPO as they go down. It would have been the same as it would have been, so we're not taking money basically from the bottom is all I'm trying to say. We're not taking money from the rest of the players. We're only adding to that first place spot. So happy to be a part of that. They understand how disc golf works too, as far as the divisions and the amount of players and all of that stuff. But that was their main takeaway. They thought there was no reason that first place shouldn't get paid the same. And, I tend to agree with that. If we're able to do that, I'm happy to oblige. I mean, I think that means a lot. And we probably won't get into this much, but one thing that I really want to get across to my community, people that aren't in the disc golf world, is that this is a professional sport and they can make a living, and they can make a really good living doing that. And I want to get that into our school systems and our teachers' hands and all that information out to them, because I want more kids and more youth to be playing disc golf. And I think a lot of youth play these other sports. At least I know I did when I was a kid, because I looked up to Michael Jordan, right? Ken Griffey Jr., Chipper Jones, all these amazing athletes, but they were making money, right? I love sports. I love basketball, but I want to make money too. And I think, we're lucky to have Gannon here. He can be that figure for us here in this community to really grow youth disc golf in Des Moines, and say, hey, at 17 years old, I think he made like $80,000 or $90,000 in event earnings alone. Plus, who knows how much on sponsorships. He's making way more than I am. I mean, he's proving that the professionalism, the professional side of the sport is something that is attainable, and that our youth can, strive to achieve. And, maybe other paths aren't working out for them, whether they're playing baseball, basketball, football, soccer, whatever it is. And, try out disc golf and give it a shot and see if you can make a living doing it someday.
I'm curious, real quick. Do you know what that winner payout is going to be?
Yeah, I think it'll be so since we're only increasing the purse by about $5,000. The gap last year, MPO got 11,000, FPO got 7. So it'll probably be pretty similar to that $11,000 mark. We haven't finalized that yet, but that's my guess right now.
Okay, I mean that still will be one of the highest winner payouts of the season thus far. It's an impressive feat, without a doubt. What does your spectator numbers look like this year? We've been talking about spectatorship in the Disc Golf Pro Tour, and I'm curious to know how many tickets you've sold and kind of what you expect for the spectators.
Yeah, I just checked, and I think we're around 1,200 tickets sold so far for the event. I think we'll get up to 1,400, somewhere in that range, maybe 1,500 for the weekend. So kind of depends on the weather, obviously. Unfortunately, I have to say that again, but yeah, I think it's a healthy crowd. We're getting a lot more media interest this year too. We're doing a local story, 5-minute story, so I hope that'll help push out tickets. And we're really building up the hive on hole 5 and making that an atmosphere. We're gonna have a 12 by 7 foot screen out there, airing DGN the entire day, so people can just come out there, park the bus, get a chair, have an umbrella, watch some disc golf, drink a beer, get a pop, eat a hot dog, have hole 5 right here, see somebody hit an ace, go crazy, and just have a fun day just sitting there. And tickets are only, I think, $15 to $30 a day, so very affordable in my opinion to come out and see the best players in the world.
I sort of hesitate to ask this, but I'm curious. I assume you pay attention to everything. You're involved with the Pro Tour. DDO, we didn't see a lot of spectators. You think ticket prices are becoming a little bit of a problem at some tournaments, or do you think that's more of an Emporia thing, or what do you think's going on there?
I don't know. I can only really speak for, the Des Moines Challenge. I don't have a whole lot of input in ticketing in general, but I can only, speak for what the atmosphere that I want to create here in Des Moines and what I think the value of that is. And specifically like our GA zones. I think we have some of the best. I guess I really don't even know the other events GA zones, to be honest with you, but I think we have really cool GA zones. You can see hole 1, 2, 18, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So you can see, 9 holes, and you can see the best holes, in my opinion, or at least the most exciting holes that can have, 8. Shout out to Phil Delone. He just aced hole 4 last night. The group was playing doubles. Yeah. And so I've heard somebody aced hole 3. So I hope we get some on camera this year. It'd be great. But those GA zones, in my opinion, in Des Moines specifically, are amazing. And then obviously the VIP tickets are worth it in my mind. You get to go around the entire course. You get to see all 18 holes. You get to follow whoever you want. You can be there from 7:30 to 7 p.m. You have 12 hours of disc golf that you can watch every day. I don't know if it's just the region or the area or what, depends on that. But I know we have a really healthy disc golf community here in the Des Moines area, the Iowa area. And I'm sure they're excited to come out and watch the best players hang out at Pickard and have some fun.
I'm going to jump in again real quick.
All right,
Sorry, Josh.
Yeah. No, you're fine.
I want to just jump back to something you said earlier, because it's something we've been talking about a little bit on the show. You said you've made some visual changes. You've been like growing out the grass a little bit, and then you said rope instead of paint. What specific, can you give us a little bit more specifics on that? I think one thing that Josh and I have been talking about is, how do we improve the visual clarity of in and out of bounds areas, particularly when you think about how it plays on camera. Sometimes it can be really hard. And we've seen some pretty dramatic approaches to this. USDGC last year using rocks to kind of like line the OB areas, which is really a lot more visually clear than kind of what we saw in the past, which was just endless miles of rope. So what are you doing? And can you give us a sense of like looking ahead into the future, what you might want to try to do in the future if there's other things you'd like to implement?
Yeah, so the biggest visual changes you will see will be on holes 1, 2, and 10. So if you guys remember holes 1 and 2, it's like the entrance to the park. So typically they like to keep that, well maintained so that people that aren't playing disc golf can walk through the park. People that are playing disc golf aren't losing discs in the long grass and looking for them all day. Luckily, I was like, hey, Doug, let's try this out. I want to put some ropes out a couple months in advance, grow the tall grass around the fairway. So it looks like, technically kind of similar to what a golf fairway looks like, much more drastic. Obviously, their grass is, centimeter thin or centimeter tall. Ours is regular height. Their rough is a couple inches. Our rough is like 10, 12, 15 inches, right? So it kind of looks like golf fairways on 1 and 2. And then specifically hole 2, it's basically you're throwing from out of bounds into an island. You have to land in the mowed grass area. And if you don't, you're out of bounds. You'll be able to visually see that very well. So, and then same on hole 10, we really narrowed in the out of bounds, and there's no room on the right or left. It's just tall grass. So it does look great. It is difficult for people to find their discs when they do throw in that stuff. So that is a bit of an issue. And I don't know if people think about that, but this is a public park, right? So as soon as this event's over, they're going to go out there and bail it for hay, because we want people to go out and play the course and have fun and not spend all day looking for their disc. As far as in the future goes, the difficulty with doing this is that, if we have 300 VIP spectators following these people, we have to have a very narrow pass. They basically have to follow the players directly behind them instead of cutting out, pass through the grass and whatnot to get them from point A to point B. So I think that's one of the biggest issues moving forward is, how do we do that? How do we maintain the look, the aesthetics, all that good stuff? And to be honest with you, I haven't thought about next year at all, except, like I said earlier, hole 16 and 17. So I don't have an answer for you, I guess, on that part of it.
For those who maybe didn't get the opportunity to watch it last year, what would you say are some of the defining skills that a player needs to succeed at Pickard Park?
Oh man, that's a great question. Funny thought is that my first thing popped in my head was endurance. It's not the longest course on the tour, but it's hot and it's hilly, a lot of elevation. Like, you got to be able to maintain and sustain out there and not let it beat you down. By the time you get to hole 15, you can get beat down pretty good and you're playing uphill, and you have to finish on hole 18, which is all uphill. And some people just give up by that time. So that's one main thing. But then I think it's just such a good variety of shots. We have a 1,080-foot hole. We have a 260-foot hole. We have a good mixture of forehand and backhand. I think it's just a full game. I mean, you have to have a full arsenal of forehand and backhand. And then I think it's going to come down to potentially some C2 putting would be my takeaway there.
Well, we just saw a total surprise new winner on tour. Last year, we almost had a total surprise new winner at DMC and Robert Burridge, but of course Simon Lizotte winning in the playoff. Are you expecting more, I guess, surprises considering what we've been seeing lately on tour?
Yeah, I think the field is amazing, right? I mean, I listen to you guys talk about it a lot. The field is so dense. I mean, anybody could win any day. I fully expect that to happen here. I don't think anybody's going to run away with it at all. I'm hoping that we have, 4, 8 people in the mix on the final day, hopefully in both fields, because as I mentioned, those changes with FPO, I think that opens it up for a lot of players, and would really love to see, some fun finishes like we had last year in the MPO division.
I saw that the playoff holes are 1, 2, 4, and 5. Is that what they were last year?
Last year we did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 18. So we only got the full 4. So yeah, we're sticking with those. Those are, they're great holes for the spectators. They're right there by the entrance. They kind of go in a loop. So yeah, that's the goal this year.
Awesome. The one other thing that I wanted to kind of touch back on, you have developed, I mean, Des Moines Challenge was a replacement event during COVID year, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That's how you guys got the introduction to the tour. And in that time, you have turned into, in my opinion, a 3-day tour or a 3-day event with some of the most personality and distinguishability thanks to its purse, the work on the course, the kind of environment that you have built around this tournament. I know that takes, as you mentioned, a lot of coordination with the parks director. It has an amazing sponsor in True Bank and other in the Des Moines area. How are you guys able to maintain such strong community relations with those big, important figures, right? Because it's not just the disc golf community, which, you've talked about, you have an amazing one, but how do you have such a strong relationship with the community at large to develop an event like this and turn it into what it's become?
Yeah, great question. And I'm going to say a cheesy answer, but you guys have seen Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come. It's kind of an Iowa thing. That was our motto when we started. And, I got introduced to Keith Welling, the CEO of True Bank, after our first event. And I was sat in his office for maybe like 20, 30 minutes. He didn't know anything about disc golf. And he wanted to give me $20,000 right there. So just I think
Amazing.
how passionate, showing how passionate, I am and how I can convey the rest of the people that help me out are about the sport is key. That's a big takeaway there is if I can get in a room with somebody, I can tell them how passionate I am about it and how passionate these other people are. And then I think immediately they kind of get hooked. They're like, oh, I want to be a part of this. I need to be a part of this. So that's one thing. Funny story real quick if we have time. I met Doug Byron, the parks director, because I was running a tournament during COVID where we had Earhart, Gannon, Jordan Castro, and Terry Roethlisberger. And I put signs around hole 2, Wander disc golf signs. And I got a harsh email later that day that said, hey, you can't put signs out on the course. Like, did you rent the course? And I was like, oh, sorry about that. I didn't, we were filming something. I just had him out for a couple hours. I was going to take him away. But that gave me Doug's contact. So then I had his email and I had his phone number. And so I was like, all right, let's try out this Pickard XL idea. And we went from there and it turned into Pickard Gold, Pickard Silver, whatnot. So Doug is just the greatest guy, imaginable. He's so energetic. He's so fun. He didn't know much about disc golf, but now he's watching every weekend. So sort of same thing, just kind of gave him an idea, showed him like my vision with the help of everybody else. And he's like, let's run with it. And then lastly, True Bank, they just want to support their community. They want to bring fun events like this to their community. They want to show their involvement in the community. And, I think it helps too. The club, the Des Moines Metro Disc Golf Club, is a 501c3. So they want to show, that they're supporting, nonprofit organizations like that as well on top of this. So there's a lot of aspects to it, a lot of layers to it. But, just the main takeaway for TDs out there, I think, is that people that own businesses, run businesses, they want to bring events to their town. They want to say, hey, look, this is my name. I brought this event to this town. They want to support that. And so don't be afraid to reach out to these bigger companies. And, that's our goal. True Bank is going to be our title sponsor for the foreseeable future. But I want to have, bigger and bigger sponsors. And I told the CFO of this, I want him to be the CFO of the Des Moines Challenge in 5 years. I want this to be $1 million entity and, pay people, pay staff, to have an accountant, all this stuff and make this really into something big. So that's the goal.
All right. So last thing here, you've got a hole-in-one contest for players to have a chance to win a Ford Bronco. It's on hole 5, but they're not playing the regular tee, right? They're going to throw from 500 feet away rather than the MPO tee pad, which is at 330. That's going to be tough. But do you think there's a chance? We saw, of course, this same thing last year with the $1 million shot at MVP. But 500, feels a little more achievable than what we saw at MVP.
Oh, it definitely is. So I brought up Phil earlier. Phil threw it 2 nights ago. First shot, parked it. So it's definitely doable. He threw a vulture, discgraph vulture. So like
from the 500 foot tee area. Okay.
Yeah, I got video of it. I'll send it to you. So it's definitely doable. And we're also adding a basket on the dam, probably 75, 80 feet closer, that we're going to do $1,000 if anybody makes it in that one. So I know there's some FPO players that might not be attainable to hit the 500-foot shot, but at least we'll give them a secondary shot, something they can shoot for. But yeah, it's we saw obviously what they did at Maple Hill last year, great event, and wanted to do something similar, but a little bit different. And we also have a voting contest. I don't know when this comes out, but tonight at 5 p.m. Central on Wednesday, we're going to close the voting to see the top 8 players in MPO and FPO that get their chance. So should be an exciting night on Friday.
Awesome. Well, hey, Ty, thanks so much for coming on, and we're looking forward to the tournament.
Yeah, thank you guys. I appreciate it. Thanks for your support. Love what you guys do. And hope you guys can tune in and watch some fun disc golf this weekend.
We certainly will.
Count on it.
Ty Tannatt with us here on the Upshot. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Upshot. Thanks again to Ty for coming on with us. Josh, they continue to push these purses up. I mean, 105. I mean, for a 3-day event, like he's pushing it up towards Elite Plus.
Yeah. It's an incredible number, and 11,000 for a payout for MPO is a great payout. For FPO is just exceptional. I mean,
yeah, biggest of the year.
Yeah,
will probably be the biggest of the year until maybe Worlds,
maybe.
And then the DGPT Championship.
Yeah.
But you gotta love that.
Yeah. It's a nice. I wish more tournaments would do that. I mean, you go secure a sponsor who's willing to just pony up the difference, and then you put them as a big sponsor on the FPO side and the FPO broadcast, and that I think that's a great idea. It's a great way to secure a little bit of extra money.
All right, it's time to make our picks for the Des Moines Challenge. Remember last year, Kristen Tatar winning on the FPO side, Simon Lizotte winning in a playoff against Robert Burridge. Josh, I'm going to go first this week.
All right,
I feel like I always let you go first. I'm going to go first. I'm going to go first in MPO. Here's my podium. I'm getting a little crazy. In my 3 spot, I'm taking Emerson Keith. Emerson's already got a win on tour this year. Remember that? That was crazy. And he played here well last year. He was this was an event with a large podium.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take Emerson. Now, my 2 spot, I'm going to take Simon Lizotte. He's back. He has not been playing for a couple of weeks here, so back on tour, and why not? Hey, he might win.
He might.
And in my 1 spot, do this once a year. Here it is this year. Matty O, top of my podium. Josh, he's been playing great.
Giving away points, man.
I am not giving away points. He's gonna win one eventually, Josh. He was very solid here a year ago. I feel like it's just a matter of time. And I don't know. It came to me.
All right.
This weekend is it.
I think we did like an over-under at the beginning of the year about number of wins for Matty O, and I took the under on a 0.5, and I stand by that. And every time Matty O, it's fun, every time Matty O's near the top of the leaderboard, I'm like, you just don't got that dog in him. I love Matty O. I think he's a cool guy. I just don't think he's going to get one, man.
Dang. We'll see, Josh.
Okay, we'll see. Over on my MPO side, I've also got a crazy pick in here. Last year, took 3rd place, was on that big podium that you mentioned, and took 3rd place last weekend at the DDO. I've got Evan Smith, not Evan Scott, Evan Smith on my podium this weekend.
Wow.
He doesn't play as much as other players, but he plays pretty well when he does play. So I'm looking forward to seeing him this weekend, and I think he could do well. In my 2 spot, I'm going to go with Isaac Robinson. Very strong all-around player, and I think Pickard Park is just one of the top park courses that we see on tour because of its combination of really all the elements of disc golf. It is shot shaping, there are woods, there are some rough areas, but there is OB that you have to work with, and I think Isaac just has a very complete tool set that is going to make him a strong contender this weekend. And my number 1 spot, I'm running it back for Jamie, because I think it was an unfortunate weekend last weekend. I've got Gannon Burr to win it. Mrs. Cash last weekend at DDO. We're going to give him another shot for Jamie.
All right. Very good. Josh, who you got in FPO?
FPO. I'm going to pick another player who did not have a good weekend last weekend. Valerie Mondahano. She almost missed Cash. But I think she's got that. I mean, that first tournament back, she's got her feet under her. She's got the warm-up tournament back. And it's easy because of the injury to forget just how strong of a player she was early in the season last year and the potential that she has. I mean, she is a multi-time Elite Series winner, and she is back in the field. I'm hoping she's going to be good to go this weekend, because if she is, I think she's as good of a threat as anybody just about anybody to win this event. So I've got Valerie in my 3 spot here.
I think before we continue, we should maybe just take a moment and chat about Valerie last weekend. I think we didn't get to that on Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
She finished for 18th, one over. Yep. And like stats were, right around that 18th level for the most part. I think the big thing is that she went out of bounds 10 times. If she can start to dial that in a little bit, she had 3 double bogeys on the weekend. If you clean that up, then you're talking about like a solid top 10-ish level performance. She was not that far from being in the top 10. So, while I think I personally am not going to put Valerie Mondojano on my podium, there's a lot to ask for her. I mean, we know the skill is there, and it's just a question of how long does it take her to kind of warm back up. But overall, I feel like a solid debut. She cashed.
Yep.
What more are you really looking for besides a cash, honestly?
Seriously. Yeah, no, great point. In my 2 spot, I've got Cat Merch. When I think park course, I don't know why, but Cat Merch is what comes to my mind. It goes back, I think, with Isaac Robinson and kind of that completeness of her skill set. I think she really is a well-rounded player and has the tools necessary to not just compete, but to excel on this course. And I'm excited to see Cat Merch with, I think that there are going to be some holes. We saw some last year where they aren't perfectly tuned for FPO. And those holes oftentimes result in having like 120 to 180 foot upshots for the birdie look. But Cat Merch's approach game is one that means those are going to be stress-free pars. And stress-free pars means less bogeys, which means better performance for Cat Merch. I've got her in my 2 spot. Number 1, hasn't given me a reason yet. Kristen Tatar. I'm going to keep picking her. It's boring, and I know it, but the reason I'm even in contention in our point standings is because the fact that I picked Kristen Tatar without fault, and I'm not going to stop this weekend. So Kristen Tatar gets my 1 spot as usual.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just go ahead and tell you right now, Josh, I'm also going to take Kristen Tatar. Look, she beat Evelina, finished 2nd last year. She's not here. Okay. Kristen finished 8 shots ahead of Macy Vela-Diaz in 3rd place. I'm not saying that other people can't win. Obviously, we've already seen it multiple times this season. She could lose, but the odds are the odds. And especially the way she played here last year, I cannot not pick her. In my 2 spot, I'm going to go with Macy Vela-Diaz. I think Macy has shown me a couple times this year that like on courses that suit her game, she's very effective. And, she came really close to winning Music City Open, came up a little bit short. We're back on a similar-ish course, maybe a little bit more woods here compared to the kind of more open style MCO, but there's woods there too. So I really like her chances, especially the confidence she'll have on this particular Pickard Park track. And in the 3 spot, I'm going to go with some momentum pick here, and I'm going to take Haley King coming off the win. Even though Haley King struggled here last year, I think that we saw this past weekend that her game is shaping up really nicely, and so I'm going to put her in my 3 spot.
I think it's hard to compare Haley King of last season to this season.
So far, I would agree.
So,
yeah,
good pick.
Okay, so that is our picks in the book. Enjoy the Des Moines Challenge, everybody. Starts Friday, runs through Sunday, and we'll be back with you Sunday night for our Rapid React show. Josh, looking forward to it already.
It's going to be fun.
Get yourself a Ultiworld Disc Golf subscription to be able to tune in live and get all of our sub-bonus episodes in your own private podcast feed. Go to discgolf.ultiworld.com/subscribe. All right, for Josh Mansfield, I'm Charlie Eisenhood saying so long. We'll talk to you next week right here on The Upshot.